Cool. Okay, I'm ready. All right, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas. New year, new do, Maddie. New do. I want some chiming in from the folks online. I know what they're going to say. Ron Burgundy. I get it, but that's fine. I'm okay with it.
Does that make me Veronica Corningstone?
It could.
Thanks for stopping
Today,
by.
you dress better, so Matt's probably better to look at. Hey, we got a packed show for our first show of 2019, and the rundown there you can see on the left side of your screen. Lot to talk about. So much to talk about in the Knighthood today, Maddie, and we're going to touch on everything here today. Fight at Golden Knights practice. In case you didn't hear about this, there was a fight, actually multiple fights at Golden Knights practice. Some of you may have seen the video, and you kind of know what I'm talking about, but I'm setting it up. I don't want to bury the lead here. Knight putting up his estate for sale. Don't know if you heard this story for a cool $2.5 million. We'll get to who it is. Winners of 4 straight, points in 18 out of 21. What's different with this team? We're going to discuss it. Zykov on the ice. Pacioretty on the ice, which means dilemma for Brandon Peary. What happens here? Golden Knights have to find a way to keep him on the roster. We'll discuss that. We want to hear from you on your thoughts on how you think this should go down. Marc-Andre Fleury, he's an all-star. Who could join him on the all-star team? You've got to vote him in. We'll discuss who that player is. And then we'll talk Runnin' Rebels. I know, down here, obviously Matt's going to discuss that. We'll discuss that. But they do get a win last night, and they get the first win in Mountain West Conference play over Colorado State. So we'll break that down. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing that they're 1-0 in conference play? We'll talk about the end to the abhorrent UNLV logo. That's new news in case you hadn't heard that last week. I believe over the weekend they broke that they will not use that ugly logo that nobody knew what they were trying to do with it. And then NFL news. Lots of NFL news. Breaking today, Caesars Entertainment will be the first ever sponsor, at least casino sponsor of the NFL. How much is the deal for? What's it going to mean for the branding of Las Vegas? Speaking of branding, talking about the UNLV logo. There's just so much, and he actually just walked in, Scott Branson of Silver Black today. He's going to break down the Raiders season with us, talk about the end of the season wrap-up, new GM, practice facility breaking ground. We have so much to talk about. Our wild card segment, again, you're going to see it on the rundown here to the side. We want to hear from you. Whatever you want us to talk about, that's going to be what our wild card segment is for, so go ahead and comment now, and we'll share our final thoughts. Did I touch on everything? I think I did. That open was like 5 minutes long because...
Yeah, is that it? The show's over?
Yeah, I feel like I'm
that's a wrap,
Dasco
man.
up here. Dasco on assignment somewhere?
No, I mean, that just goes to show you how much we have going on right
Yep.
now. I mean, that's what Las Vegas has become. There's just 24... It's a 24/7 town anyways. We all know that. Now it's a 24/7 news cycle when it comes to sports.
Yep, no
Love
question.
it.
We should do this thing every day.
Yeah.
We need full-time jobs.
Let's do it.
So that's why we need you to watch and comment, so maybe we can make this a full-time gig. All right, let's go to the Knighthood, as we affectionately call it. Vegas Golden Knights. Let's start right there. Again, winners of 4 straight. They play tomorrow night at Anaheim. Then they come back Sunday to face the New Jersey Devils. But we've got Zykov in uniform skating today for the first time. He's going to wear number 7 for the Golden Knights. He's the waiver pickup, and it turns into a roster dilemma now. You have 25 players, and you have 23 spots. Pacioretty on the ice today. Seems like he'll be activated before that Friday game against the Anaheim Ducks. Brandon Peary, clearly one of the best offensive players, if not the best offensive player on this team right now. What do you do here?
And let's not forget about Miller as well. He'll be back within the next week or so. He was out on the ice trying to get ready. So you're now at a point where you have to start. It can't just be Peary all the time, because Peary's the one guy who has consistently produced since being called up to this roster out of the guys that you're going to leave out of the fold. The only other guy on the roster that can be sent down and not have to go through waivers is Alex Tuck. Alex Tuck's not going to be sent down. That's ridiculous. He's the best player on the team.
What if McPhee does? Yeah, I'm kidding. He won't do it.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't. It only took him, 3 weeks last season for him to get called up, and he's been up since. But you have Nosek, You have Oscar Lindbergh, who we've been talking about Lindbergh a lot over the last few months about potentially being shown the door. And then Carpenter is the other one, Ryan Carpenter. Any one of those guys gets sent down to Chicago and they're going to have to clear waivers. I'd be surprised if they weren't picked up. Any one of them would probably be picked up. Lindbergh has been scratched more than anybody else, so he seems to be the clear-cut choice. Again, we've been beating that drum for a while, so maybe it is Oscar Lindbergh.
Well, I want to hear what you guys think at home. Who gets put on waivers and who potentially would leave the team? I mean, I'm okay with any of those three guys, to be honest with you. Nozick probably the least out of the three, just because I think he plays very well defensively and he brings a little bit of panache offensively. He's certainly grown since last year. And last year he scored 3 goals in the Stanley Cup final. But I'm okay with any of those three as long as Brandon Perry keeps his roster spot because he has to.
He's played 9 games for the Golden Knights. He has 9 goals. Yep. He's played 7 this season. He has 6 goals and a couple of assists. So I don't see how you can justify sending him down outside of what we just talked about. There is the front office stuff that goes along with it, and he only has 3 more games that he can play in before he hits number 10, and a couple of weeks to hit the 30-day threshold before he can't be sent down without having to go through waivers again. So chances are he's going to get to that point, and they're just going to have to keep him up. They're going to be out of excuses for sending him down. So there are other options there. Again, I think Lindbergh is the number 1 option, but I wouldn't be upset if Carpenter got sent down either.
Right, and Lindbergh, is a good choice based on salary alone. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty big price tag. I think it's over $1.5 million. Not sure a team, maybe a team in contention would want to do that, but not sure any team would just pick that up. So I think that he would be the most likely candidate to go down. But again, Brandon Perry. And Zykov, so first time on the ice, just following on Twitter, seeing what he has to deliver. Great stick handling. Mm-hmm. Saw a couple videos of him just moving the puck around. Patrick Kane-esque with his puck handling skills. Bigger body, 6 foot, 220 listed as. And I think he only had 3 points in his stint with Edmonton so far this year. 3 points in 18 games, but got to find a spot for him. Gallant likes him, it seems like. That's what he's made comments about in the past.
Perry's been on the second line. They've been practicing Perry on that second line along with Stastny and Tuck. So if Pacioretty comes back, do you put Pacioretty on the third line? If so, there's those 3 guys again on the other side. Which one is going to be the odd man out? Does Zykov slide into that other spot on the third line? So it's Pacioretty, Eakin, and Zykov. Or do you mess with the fourth line? Who's going to get scratched? Who's getting shown the door? There are a lot of people there now. There's a lot of moving parts that it's a good problem to have. I wish they had this many problems on defense right now because defense has been the issue in large part the course of the season. But it's not a bad thing to have that many options on offense that give you a great chance to win.
Well, and you got to think, and I talked with Jason Pothier on one of our Facebook Lives the other day after the last home game against the Kings. A mysterious injury probably going to pop up at some point with one of these guys. You know, they can manufacture that.
Yeah.
And GMs do it all the time. So you got to think somebody's going to be sitting out.
Supposed to.
Right. Somebody's going to be sitting out. And those moves are going to be coming soon because Max Pacioretty looks like he's ready to go. Do they take out a defenseman? The Merrill-esque mustache. Somebody commented already. My wife. This is Merrill.
Your wife said, "Ugh, shave." I thought that was the best comment of the day so far.
I've had it for like 4 days. She hates it, so I don't know how long it's going to last. All right, so we had a fight today at practice. Now you were going to go, but you didn't make it.
No, I actually had a buddy with the Raiders organization in town, and we went to lunch. Had a nice conversation at lunch, so I didn't get a chance to go to practice today, but I'm kind of sad I missed out.
Yeah, long-awaited fight video. Rich Giacovino, a producer extraordinaire. Go ahead and roll that beautiful footage for us. And, well, faded black, and now we're back.
We lost it.
We'll get it. We'll get it up. All right, so there was a fight at practice today, and I guess to delay the joke here, it was a joke fight, right? Marc-Andre Fleury. I hope we're going to see it. Marc-Andre Fleury, Jonathan Marchessault show going at it, right? Mm-hmm. So you have the top guy in the franchise going up against the smallest guy in the franchise.
You also have the biggest prankster and jokester, maybe in the NHL, in Marc-Andre Fleury.
And they went at it pretty hard. If you see this video, and we have the video, we just need to roll it for you. That was care of Danny Webster too. I want to plug him. Rich says it'll be up in a minute.
All right,
so
cool.
hopefully that means
We'll get there.
at some point really quickly here. But that was just cute to see. And I think Malcolm Subban went at it with somebody else as well. I saw another video of that. You got to practice fights.
I want to
Ryan
see...
Reeves should be the one giving the tutorial.
he does it in the
fights.
game. He doesn't need to worry about it in practice.
But I'm just
I want to
saying,
see Fleury and Subban meet at center ice. Goalie fights are always the best, man. Those are, and they're so few and far between, but those are the best. They're so clunky and awkward, and there's so much gear. It's like, you know, when you put on the big sumo suit in between innings in a baseball game, that's what it looks like when goalies fight.
Let's just come back to that, all right? Rich, just holler at me when we got it. Let's talk Marc-Andre Fleury, right? All-star. Do you believe this? The guy's had an 18-year career. Maybe not 18, 12 years, something like that. Only a 4-time All-Star.
I want to say 02 maybe, right?
Only a...
Maybe later than that.
Is it 16?
I
mean,
don't
it's
know.
in the teens.
He's been in the league
Irrelevant.
for a while now.
Why's the guy only been an All-Star 4 times? He gets named to the Pacific All-Star team. Maybe that's because they don't really let the fans decide more. I mean, he's a fan favorite.
Well, do we have business signal?
Hello.
He's had a career season and a half since coming to the
Sure has.
Golden Knights. Last year was the best save percentage he's ever had. This year he's leading the league in wins. Granted, the Knights have played a couple more games than everybody else, but he's still leading the league in wins. His save percentage is right back up there. Not quite where it was last year, but it's up there. He's got 6 shutouts already this year. Marc-Andre Fleury he's an all-star, plain and simple. We have somebody on the voting block, right?
Jonathan Marcia show.
Yeah.
So, again, we kind of mentioned at the top of the show, try to build suspense. That's what we do at the beginning. Oh, and speaking of building suspense, Rich, go ahead and roll the fight video. We have the fight video. We don't want to do that
There
to
we
you.
go.
All right, so here it is. Marc-Andre and Marcia show going at it. Now, I guess this probably isn't, I mean, this is great, don't get me wrong, but I think the highlight is what was said in practice. Again, this is from Danny Webster of NHL.com and Knights on Ice. Great guy. Great content, too, if you need a Vegas Golden Knights insider. But it was afterwards, right? You have Flower. Somebody said, you know, did he sting like a bee against the Flower? But Marcia Show said, I'm a bleeping spider monkey. And he will just go off on him. That's what he said.
You know what? They're both getting extra penalties because they didn't have the fight straps clipped.
Yeah.
Jerseys came up.
I see that. I see that.
Going to the box for
so
extra
that's
time
illegal.
now.
That's illegal.
That's
so that
illegal,
was fun.
man.
And like I said, Malcolm Subban got in on it as well. So
guys are loose, man. They're playing good
Right.
hockey.
Do you see that from other teams? I don't know if you see that.
I don't know. I don't pay attention enough to other teams' practices to know that. But they've won 4 in a row. They're back on top of the Western Conference within a couple of points. Granted, a couple teams have games in hand, but they're still up there. 52 points now, 50 points, right there with Calgary, right there with Winnipeg, right there with Nashville. They're back to being one of the elite teams in the National Hockey League, and you're seeing it. They're relaxed. They're playing better hockey. They're scoring more. They're grinding out wins that they need to grind out. They're just playing better hockey all around.
52 points, 2 behind Calgary for first place in the Pacific. I believe it's 3rd in the conference right now. They're way up there. Mm-hmm. So we've got some sound from the locker room, Rich. So tee that up for us. And I just kind of compiled everything together. This is after the win over the LA Kings. Another shutout for Marc-Andre, his 6th to lead the NHL. Brandon Perry yanked late in the game for good reason, right? Belmar takes his place on the second line. So you're going to hear Perry address that. Then, as we were just alluding to, just about what is different on this team, you know, is it the fact that, Nate Schmidt is back on the ice? Is it Paul Stastny coming back into the fold? I mean, the team's got 8 points in 18 of its last 21. Really on fire. And it seems to coincide with Schmidt's return and then obviously Stastny coming into the fold. So Cody Eakin, I asked him specifically about that. He addresses that. And then we've got Marc-Andre Fleury saying that Nate Schmidt talks too much. So all those compiled into one video segment here. Rich, go ahead and roll it.
You see Belly block that shot. That's why he's ridiculous in his own zone. He's fearless, and you know I'd want him out there. He's a special player and he plays his role one of the best I've seen. So get him out there.
I don't know. It's different. I think we're just playing the right way. I think we're making the game easier on ourselves and allowing ourselves to skate and use our speed, not turning things over at either blue line and making it more difficult on us on each other than it has to be. So from the goalies right up to the forwards, and it's been pretty solid.
You said to stay focused. Sometimes you listen to the songs or whatever. Do you have a favorite one that they do during the breaks?
I like, what's his name? Mercury. You know, from Queen. Yeah, when he's at the big show, the live show, and he goes, ah. It makes you yell back at him. You know? So I don't know, I have fun by myself. A little bit.
Can you describe the satisfying nature of this 4-game stretch here, the way you guys are playing?
Yeah, it's just all all division games maybe, but the race is still so close, right, to be in the playoffs, and every point matters, and it's good to win for our dads when they were on the road with us, and get back home here and get another one against LA, so that's good.
20 games in, you guys were second to last in the West. Nate comes back into the lineup. Now you've won 16 of 23. I know it's more so of a team mentality, but what has he meant to you guys since he's come back?
It's obviously a big part of the team, and off the ice. And on the ice, he plays a lot of big minutes. He plays against the best line out there. He plays on the power play and the penalty kill, and also in the room's always positive, always smiling and talks a lot. And then,
in a good way.
In a good way, yeah. Well, sometimes it's just. But he's a huge part of our team, for sure.
Hey Mark, you were doing push-ups on that because you were bored, or you just want to let the coaches know that you're so fresh and ready to go?
I didn't have a shot for all period, right? And then they get a power play, and I was just standing there until it was a 3-minute mark, maybe something like that. So I was trying to move. I move my legs, I do some stretch, do some movement, and I thought get the arms going a bit, right? Just I don't know, whatever to try to stay loose and warm, I guess.
A lot to digest there, but Marc-Andre Fleury. So clearly, we had to end with that. Yeah, Nate Schmidt talks too much. He didn't have anything to do in that second period against the LA Kings. That was nuts. It was 0 shots up until 2 minutes left in that period. I think it was going back to the first period. It was 20 plus minutes that the guy faced a shot. He was doing push-ups. He's talking about singing the Freddie Mercury "Day-O" or whatever it is that they throw up on the Nitron there.
That's got to be tough, though. That sometimes can be harder. You hear infielders talk about that a lot when they have a pitcher that is just dialed in and striking guys out, and it's nothing but lazy pop flies to shallow outfield. That makes a huge difference, keeping you on your toes. When a guy is pitching to contact, you hear the infielders talk about it. I'm on my toes. I'm ready. That's when you make the good plays. When you get lulled to sleep, like Fleury did, it could be a lot more difficult to make those incredible saves. And that breakaway, I can't remember who had the breakaway for the Kings, but it was a 1-0 game at the time, and Fleury just got that left toe back just enough to close off that side.
Starts with a T. I don't know the Kings roster. T.
Was it Toffoli?
Toffoli. Yep. Okay. Tyler Toffoli.
Tyler Toffoli.
Yep. See, that's all. I just needed a little.
I just couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah, a phenomenal save, right? So I think he only had 16 saves in the game. Golden Knights with 48 shots. Could have been a team record. Nobody said it was, but it should have been really close. So,
the first 2 games against Kings, they didn't shoot at all. I don't think they got over 25 shots, and in the last 2, they've been peppering the net, and you see the difference.
Right.
So,
and the first 5 minutes of that Kings game, again, some concern there where it's just slow, plodding, pretty messy hockey, and then something switched. The Golden Knights just kick it into high gear, and then that second period, which that period's been troublesome to say the least, at least in fits and starts throughout the year, they just blow them away. But it's still a 0-0 game going into the third period. That would have been a really tough game for this team to lose. One of those other games, the back-to-back against the Canadiens, and then I can't remember who else. It might have been the Kings, whatever that back-to-back was.
One of the biggest differences now is they're finding consistency. Yeah, Peary hasn't been up there all year, but that's 7 games in a row now that he's been on the second line with Stastny and Tuck. There's consistency there. We know what the top line has been. They're always consistent. They're not putting the same number of points up that they did last year, but they're still giving teams fits. Marchessault, Carlson, Smith, they're tough to deal with, especially when they get out in transition. You're finally starting to see these guys gel a little bit. Whether it's Zykov or Pacioretty or whomever comes down to the third line with Cody Eakin, you need to get some consistency there, because you've got it on the fourth line with Carrier, Reeves, and Belmar. That third line can solidify itself and find the right mix of people. Don't forget, we're still missing Eric Haula. Mm-hmm. Is Haula going to be back this season? Possibly, maybe. We haven't heard anything definitive. That's the way we do injuries in Vegas, apparently. They don't give you anything, but that's a huge addition to the team for the stretch run if he can come back later in the year as they make a playoff push. So find those constant matchups, the lines that we need to see thrown out there every single day, that consistency, and you're going to start to see more of what we've been seeing over the last few weeks.
Great points here on Facebook. Jake, thanks for mentioning Jack Campbell, the goalie for the Kings, was fantastic in that game.
He was.
And again, I think in a sense, the Golden Knights lucky to come away with that win in that game. It was really anybody's game until Peary comes up and scores that big goal to put them up 1-0. Matt Evans likes the stash. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. I want to mention this before we move on. Paul Stastny, I think, has been, now that he's stable and he's in the mix, I think it was 3 multi-point games back-to-back before the last game against the Kings. But you see what a playmaker this guy is, and he really brings that James Neal dynamic, except he's just more of a creator. He's not a scorer. He can score clearly if he needs to or if he has the opportunity to score. But I think his difference on that second line, and whether it's Peary on the second line for the time being, when Pacioretty comes back, just because Peary's playing so well, but I think Stastny is the key to the whole thing, and I think one of the biggest keys to why this team's playing so well right now.
Stastny he's so good with the puck, and like you said, he's a creator. He makes plays for other guys, kind of like Perron would do when he was just really good with the puck. But the thing I love about Stastny is he's always in front of the net. He knows exactly where to be all the time. You don't see him out of position very often, and that's why he's been getting these goals where it gets kind of messy and the puck gets sent to him, or it's a rebound, and he's right there ready to tip it back in. He's high hockey IQ, and I mean, you see his dad sitting up there the other day, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
So it's in the blood. And let's talk about the dad's trip, by the way.
Successful.
4-0 in 2 seasons now. The dad's trip, back-to-back last season, back-to-back this season. They're 4-0. I say bring the dads on every trip.
Really think it's, it goes to the character in the locker room, right? And we've seen it constantly throughout the past couple of years. Peary, Daniel Carr, Eric Brandstrom, all in the AHL All-Star game. We really hope Peary does not make an appearance in the AHL All-Star game, but wanted to mention that.
Player of the month, by the way.
Yeah, and Marc-Andre Fleury's home in, is it Southern Highlands? Yep, Southern Highlands, up for sale, $2.5 million. There's a picture of it on the Review Journal. It's beautiful, 1 story, very laid out, nice patio area. Very pretty. So he's putting up his home for sale, probably because he got that contract extension. He can afford something a little nicer.
Not only that.
Maybe it's a permanent home.
There you go.
He could pull a Lon Kruger.
He got the extension.
Yeah.
He knows he's going to be here for
he
a
could
while.
Pull a Lon
he
Kruger
may have decided,
and have his house
what?
Out here.
I want to retire in Vegas because Vegas is amazing and there's no snow in Vegas like there is in Pittsburgh. Maybe I'll just retire here. So he's probably going to find himself a nice, 15-year home instead of the 2 or 3 year home that he thought he was going to have.
Amen. All right, we're going to come back to the Knights when we close the show here, but we feel like we've touched everything we need to with the Golden Knights right now. We're going to take a quick pause, word from our sponsors, then we'll come back, talk Rebels. In life, just like in football, you need good hands to score. The Michael Westra Allstate Agency will carry you to success for every insurance need. Auto, business, home, life. Michael will personally see you get the best rates, and our full-service staff at 702-435-4211 will walk you through any claim, not refer you to an 800 number. For over 15 years, Michael has served charities in Las Vegas. He's ready to serve you at 702-435-4211, 702-435-4211. Drink, dine, and play at the Pint during the pro football season. Join us all day Sunday plus Monday and Thursday nights as we serve up the best specials on the west side. $2 all-beef hot dogs, $3 beers from locally made Bad Beat Brewing, $15 buckets of Bud Light, and sound for every Raider game. Our carefully crafted menu and loose slots create a locals atmosphere you'll love, plus awesome parties during every Golden Knights game. The Pint, located at 9941 West Charleston near Wallapai. The Pint, your premier neighborhood bar. All right, we're going to keep on plowing through this thing. Again, Scott Gulbranson on standby to wrap up the Raiders season for us. That'll be our next segment as we talk about a lot of things related to the NFL and the Raiders and Las Vegas. But let's touch on the Rebels here really quick. UNLV opening up Mountain West Conference play against Colorado State. Another sparse crowd at the Thomas and Mack Center.
To say the least.
To see a 6-6 team go up against, a down Colorado State team. I think a lot of people saying one of the worst in the conference. They didn't really come out on fire to start the year 5-8. But this game, and this is this is how the Mountain West is every year, Matt. And you know this. There's parity. And you know most of these games are pretty tight, especially when UNLV's involved, especially against Air Force and maybe even San Jose State. Well, I'm sure they lost to them at some point last season. I'm just thinking that has to be a fact. But you have a Colorado State team that comes in, and one of the Italian for Colorado State, Nico Carvaccio, 28 points, 20 rebounds, 28 and 20, drops it on UNLV. Up and down, Rebels, though, trailing by 11 late in the game. They go on a 13-3 run to end the game, and they win it. Granted, it was on a goaltending call. Now, I say
the
this...
ball was not going in, by the way. That game was headed to overtime.
Yep.
It was not going in.
Sure. And you make a great point. But they've got injuries, Matt. So I'll start with this. They've got injuries. Houston out for the year.
Houston's the only one that matters.
Right. Check now, likely out for the year. You're talking about a loss of depth. It's forcing Marvin Menzies to go small. Has to go small. And
that's a positive, though.
That's what I'm getting to. I think it's great to see the young kids out there. Amari Hardy, his first ever start as a running Rebel, played a pretty good game. You saw Trey Woodbury get a lot of minutes. You saw Terrell Beck get a lot of minutes as well.
Terrell Beck actually getting into a game. How about that?
I don't know. But UNLV wins this thing. You say, is this a bad win?
No.
Okay.
It's not a bad win because we all want to see this program succeed. I know everybody out there, well, I'm sure there's a few haters out there, but everybody wants to see this program succeed. If you're a fan of Vegas, you're a fan of UNLV, you want to see them succeed. I equate this kind of win to what happened with the football team and winning the Cannon. It buys the head coach more time. That's what it does. This would have been a horrific loss for UNLV. CSU is down near 300 in NCAA rankings. I mean, they're down there quite a ways. This is one of the worst teams in NCAA Division I basketball. They have no business going into the Thomas and Mack and hanging with a UNLV. Now, this isn't UNLV basketball. This isn't what we've grown accustomed to seeing over the last 40 years. But to win this game just buys Menzies that much more time. And I think we're on the same page when it comes to his ability to coach this team. He's failing. He's not doing a good job coaching this team. You are not seeing this team get better. They're hustling. Good for them. They're hustle ball players. But they're not getting better. We didn't see it last year. We saw the regression. The first season, even though everybody wants to call that a wash, he won, 10 games? That is an all-time low for UNLV basketball. Go back to the very first season. That is an all-time low. This program is not getting better. It's getting worse. The attendance is getting worse. I remember when Tark left, and we went through that period where we saw 11, 12, 13,000 fans in the Thomas and Mack, and we were all going, I can't believe it's that empty in there. What are we looking at? The lower bowl is full, but that's it. The upper deck is empty, and I can't believe this. You can fit everybody in two sections in that building now. That's what it's come to. Something needs to be done to kickstart this program, and I don't think Menzies is the answer.
Yeah, losing a boatload of money. There's no question about that, and that's going to have to be subsidized somehow, and the state of Nevada is going to have to pony up a little bit more money to make up for that deficit in the athletics budget. But as I said earlier, again, I think it's nice to see the kids play, and I said this on Twitter. You lashed out at me as soon as I said it.
I don't know if lashed out is accurate.
No, it is. It is. It's totally
Doesn't
accurate.
sound like
Tony's
me.
not here. He'd back me up. He probably wouldn't back me up, but I'm just saying.
I don't think he ever has.
Injuries do something to a team. They galvanize a team, right? You lose your team leader, and you lose a contributor off the bench. Not anybody that you would lean on heavily to save this team by any means, but guys get it in their heads that they've got to step up. Right, and granted, you won by 2 against a not very good Colorado State team, but it doesn't matter in Mountain West Conference play. It doesn't matter because that's what the parity is in this league.
I may agree with that, but Houston's been out for 2 weeks. He didn't play in any of the games in
Well,
Hawaii.
now it's confirmed. He's gone. He's gone for the season.
Well, regardless, they knew in Hawaii he wasn't going to be there, and they lost to 2 horrible teams, including Bucknell, who they didn't just lose to. UNLV was blown off the court by 25 points.
What do you got to go back to that
to a school called Bucknell.
What do you got to go back to that?
I'm just saying, that's Houston or not.
I'm saying
you don't lose to Bucknell.
Maybe. Massive emphasis on maybe. This is the start of something.
Absolutely not.
I just said I'm going like 10%, 10-90. Okay, maybe 10%. Something magical happens.
I don't know. I heard the same thing before football season
started. I know Scott
started.
Branson would have something to say about the crowd
I went
out
against
there.
it then too. This is what this program is. They eke out a win against one of the worst teams in NCAA basketball. That's what this program. That is not the right
1-0 in
direction.
conference play.
Doesn't matter. You have to factor
That's
in
all
who
that matters
you play.
in the Mountain West is the win.
Where is Colorado State going to finish in the Mountain West?
It doesn't matter.
Bottom 2 or 3?
It's a conference win,
that
and it's a home win that you have
matters.
to win. Right.
Well, let's not get all high and mighty on home wins because Menzies has lost more home games than the last 15 coaches at UNLV.
First time they're
combined.
1-0 in conference play since 2013.
They played the worst
Since
team
2013.
in college basketball. There is nothing positive you can take
6
away from
years
this
since
win
they won the
other
first game of
than
conference play.
they
Isn't that
won.
crazy?
That's the only thing positive is they won the game. There are no positives to the game itself. They played a terrible team. How is that good?
Another terrible team coming to the MAC on Saturday. Wyoming 4-10 so far this season. So it should be 2-0. We'll see.
Should be.
But yeah, clearly the door's open for another letdown.
Truth be told, they should have lost last night.
Yeah.
They didn't lead.
I don't know.
They didn't lead until there were 1.2 seconds left on the clock in the second half, and that was because of that goaltending. That was the only lead they had in the second half.
The crowd was good, though. Matt, the crowd was good. It was sparsely attended. But these are the diehards that are there that live, breathe, drink, run Rebel basketball, right, that aren't kind of, I guess, bending to whatever's happening politically within the athletic department, right? The whole situation, obviously, with Dave Rice and everything that went on after that. Clearly, these fans that are showing up are completely 100% loyal to the team, and I thought they were loud.
Let me ask
pretty
you
loud
this.
last
Let
night.
me ask you this. What has Marvin Menzies done to justify keeping his job that Dave Rice didn't do? Dave Rice was fired mid-season. Who would you rather have in there right now? Dave Rice and Stacey Ogman or Marvin Menzies?
You're talking about people behind the scenes making that decision.
I'm just saying,
right?
This program isn't in a better spot now than it was when they fired Dave Rice.
And it
is absolutely
a calamity
in a
of errors
tailspin
led
from
us
where
to
it
this
was then.
point, right? And I think, Marvin Menzies is just trying to salvage the UNLV brand, right? One, and he's trying to get good character kids in there. He's kind of like the Charlie Spoonhour of today, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Because
I don't know if you can make that comparison.
Maybe
I see where you're going with that because here's the thing. Spoonhour took a program that was in absolute dysfunction. Dave Rice was still doing his job. He wasn't doing it to everybody's expectations. We wanted to see postseason wins, but the recruits he was getting in were phenomenal. He just wasn't winning the way we wanted to see him win. After Bano and everything that happened with that, this program was in a really bad place, and Charlie Spoonhour was able to kind of right the ship, turn things in the right direction, and get it going back to where it needed to be, and then hand it over to Lon Kruger, who was able to turn it back into a winning program.
Who I liked is his son, Jay Spoonhour. Jay did a great job that year taking over. I think it was late one year he led them to a final run, I think, in the conference tournament. Rich, go ahead and throw up the ugly logo, please. Show it one last time. I don't ever want to see it again after this, but it's out. The ugly logo is out. The university confirming that they are going to change.
There it is.
I mean, seriously, now see, this just pisses me off, right? The explainer, the hat, the mountains, the mustache.
I like how the mountains, it's just white spots in the background.
It's flashing.
There's no mountain.
I did not know
mountain?
what the thing was when they put it up. It was one of those things, and as a kid growing up, I could not figure out the Atlanta Hawks logo for the life of me. It looked like a Pac-Man eating a little ball. My eyes didn't see it. They didn't see the hawk, and this was the same exact thing. That ugly monstrosity on the right.
Now
I can say it now because they're getting rid of it.
There's the Hey Reb logo. Look
Reb.
how much better that is. It's like they took something that was perfect and they had a kid mess with it until it became that.
Yeah.
They simplified the UNLV arch. Right. But look at the UNLV arch. It had that nice outline shadow to it. They got rid of that and made it look just more simple. I don't know what they tried to do with the Wyatt Earp looking logo.
We got some really great comments here.
Bad.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, fire away, man.
You want magical, go see Copperfield. You want to win, get a coach.
Hey.
Thanks, Toby. Yeah, absolutely. And Jake Gifford, missed the days of UNLV, BYU, San Diego State. Yep, New Mexico, those were great days.
Yeah.
There were packed Thomas and Mack centers. And we're not even that far removed from it.
No, we're really not.
Yeah.
I threw up a video on YouTube or on Twitter last night from YouTube, and it was the intro. It was a February game in 2012. Okay, we're talking about 7 years ago. 7 years ago, the entire arena was full. It was the light show and the player introductions before UNLV San Diego State
And
game.
you get chills.
It was sold out. The Rebel chant was loud. The UNLV chant was loud. That was UNLV basketball. That was 7 years ago. That's it. 7 years. And you look at it yesterday, and there were what? 2,000 people in that arena?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I have the box score somewhere. I didn't actually. I could probably pull it up and get the exact attendance. All right,
You're going
Rich,
to get the announced attendance.
I know I'm going back and forth here. Rich, throw up the ugly logo again. Scott Gulbranson, come on in here. Make sure your microphone's on. He's a pro. He should know what he's doing. So the last details here on the ugly logo, right? So it says the university will consider changing the logo, but for now they're just going with the arch. So we may or may not see a brand new logo coming in 2020, coinciding with the Raiders stadium.
Well, here's what's funny about that is you look at the UNLV bookstore now, and the Hey Reb logo on the left there is back. That merchandise is now back in the store.
Is it the one with Hey Reb?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
well,
there
I'll
now.
confirm that tomorrow.
So here's the thing: is they completely went away from that and just went with the arch and that ugly thing. Now they've gotten rid of the ugly thing and they're bringing him back. So even if they don't switch back to it officially, they've now embraced the good logo again, which again is the one sitting there on the left side of your screen.
Yeah, I like it. I do. I like the old Hey Reb.
It's so much better.
You know, and just side tangent really quick. So the creator of Hey Reb, Mike Miller is his name. He is the father of a close friend of my family's and my wife. Really great guy. Did a big piece on him when he passed away. He was an animator for Disney, like worked on Beauty and the Beast, or excuse me, Snow White. Geez, I'm going too far ahead. Snow White, 101 Dalmatians, like just legit guy. Created logos all over town, and I'm sure they're happy to see that the old monstrosity is disappearing. His family.
Absolutely.
Scott Gulbranson with Silver and Black today.
Hey guys.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Thanks for making it down.
Thanks for having me
I'm
on.
sure you have something to say about the logo before we move on to Raiders.
You know, I would like them to go even further back with the logo, right? I mean, the modernization of it was fine.
The Musket Man?
Yes. Now, there's been all
That's
kinds
the
of things
original
brought.
Mike Miller.
The original
iteration.
Mike Miller. I don't see. I understood why they modernized it, but just a quick story because all the people who were there are gone now, so I can tell it. When I worked in the athletic department in the early 1990s to mid 1990s, and Charlie Cavaniero was the athletic director, he wanted to change the mascot completely. And in the athletic department offices, one of his favorites was a cactus. A running cactus. I'm not kidding you. And I wish I would have kept it. I wish I would have kept it because people, when I tell them, say, "Oh, come on." No.
So it was a legitimate drawing that.
It was a legitimate. They had a firm do a bunch of drawings. There was one with dice, which obviously wasn't going to fly because NCAA and gaming and so on. But
today it probably would.
Yeah, maybe now. But I think going back, as you guys have said, I think going back to the logo before the monstrosity that was brought about is a good thing. I mean, that, you know, hey, it describes what a rebel is. And I know there's been issues in the past with, the Civil War. It has nothing to do with it. If you understand the state of Nevada and the history of Nevada and how we used to be a satellite campus of the University of Nevada, Reno, you understand the history of it, and then I think it's less objectionable.
Right. Yep.
So, good move.
Yep, totally agree. And again, we'll wait. I guess we'll wait and see if they actually do unveil a brand new logo, but I will take the arch. Let's move on. So, Scott here, obviously, to talk about Raiders, but wanted to bring you in here a little earlier to talk about this big deal. NFL making its first ever partnership with a casino. Again, 2 years ago, it would just never happen. 2 years ago, it would not happen. It would not happen 2 years ago.
Yes.
2 years later, now Caesar's paying $30 million a year over 3 years is the number being thrown about to have a partnership, and we're going to start to see branding right away during the NFL playoffs, is what I read online here. But Scott, just kick it off. What do you make of this partnership? How big is it? And I think it's obviously going to be great for Vegas.
Yeah, it clearly shows the NFL moving in the right direction because now not only did they allow the Raiders to move to Las Vegas with only a couple dissenting votes, but they now have said, okay, this is happening. They're seeing the other leagues. The NFL, though, let me say, John, the NFL is still dragging its feet a little bit because if you look at the structure of the Caesars deal, while it's a great move in the right direction, it will not include sports gaming. It will not include daily fantasy. And if you understand daily fantasy, that's because the NFL has ownership stake in daily fantasy games. Or it's not going to include any other hotel properties. So in essence, it's the Caesars brand. Celebrity chefs and all things are going to come on the air and promote the brand, which overall drives people to their properties. But clearly the NFL is kind of putting one foot in still which is interesting. You would think they would dive right in. Now, there had already been 3 NFL teams who made deals with Caesars, including the Raiders, the soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know if we can call them Oakland anymore, can we?
No, stop.
So
That's done. We're done with that.
Exactly.
I'm done with that.
So now, I mean, it's a great deal. It does not include gaming. So either the NFL still has some reservations, or what I think, because the NFL is so shrewd and it is the 800-pound gorilla in the middle of the room, they're waiting to cut another deal separately on different segments of their business.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is this is just step one.
Correct.
This is just the first. And you said they're just putting one foot in. I think it's just because that's the first step. I mean, you know, MGM's lying in wait. They have to be. I understand that they have T-Mobile Arena and they're so involved with the Golden Knights, but this is going to be the biggest thing in Vegas without question. The NFL is an absolute juggernaut, especially when you compare it to the NHL. And as much as we all love the Golden Knights and what the NHL has done here in Las Vegas, of the big 4 American sports, the NHL is number 4. That's just the way it is. The NFL is going to come in here and trump everything, and there's no way that they're going to want to leave that kind of money on the table.
Well, and that's a fantastic point, because you mentioned MGM and even William Hill, right, from a sportsbook perspective. They have been very proactive. MGM signed deals with the NBA and NHL, as you said. And so I got to give Caesars credit. I think Caesars held out and said, you know what, we're going to wait and see what happens here. MGM jumped at those 2, and Caesars is putting its chips, excuse the pun, into the NFL. And they had signed the deal with the Raiders early in the year, on November 1st. We wrote about it, and we talked about that at the time. That's also experiential stuff inside the stadium. But I wonder now, too, if this clears the way for Caesars perhaps to be a naming rights partner for the stadium, which is going to be a big deal. That's going to be a $300 million deal over 30 years.
And part of this $30 million deal, I would assume, and I translate this however you want, exclusive right to use NFL trademarks in the U.S. and U.K., to promote Caesar Casino properties and activate at key NFL events, including the Super Bowl and draft. I think they can actually finally say Super Bowl, right? Because no casino property can say, we are having a Super Bowl party. It's just the football championship.
The big game,
the
right?
big game, right, exactly. So is that worth $30 million? Not sure that it is. And then you have teams, and you mentioned some of them, but I'm just looking. Falcons, Ravens, Bears, Colts, Saints, Raiders, and Eagles have all had previous relationships with Caesars, which I mean, makes sense. I'm sure that there's properties close to all those markets or those team markets, but didn't know that until today. And Caesars obviously going to work with the NFL pretty closely for the 2020 draft that's coming to Las Vegas. So much going on here. All right, so let's move on to the end of the Raiders season. 4-12. They end the year 35-3 loss to the Chiefs. The draft awaits. Where the team plays awaits. Matt, why don't you kick us off? Just tie a bow on this season.
Man, it's up in the air. I mean, you want to start with the end of the season. Great way to go out if you're just talking about the Coliseum game against Denver, which was a week and a half ago. That Monday nighter could be the last game in Oakland. Again, it is up in the air. Like I said, I had lunch today with a buddy of mine from the team, and they have no idea, man. They really don't. That he has no idea where they're going to go next year.
Yeah.
It really is. And we were talking about the whole London situation, and a lot of people saying, hey, just play the 8 games in London. And we've talked about it. Logistically, that's an absolute nightmare. And the first thing out of his mouth was expense. He said that's just an insane cost to have to play that many games overseas. So, Scott and I have talked a lot about San Antonio as being one of the landing spots. We've even talked about Cal, Stanford, Pac Bell was there for a while. Or AT&T now, right?
Yep,
I still call it Pac Bell. But apparently they've now withdrawn from the race. So who knows? There are no shortage of NFL capable stadiums, especially in California, but around the country in general that they could play in. I do want to see them stay away from the idea of playing overseas 8 times a year, though.
Yeah, my guess is still, despite the obstacles, that they will end up in Oakland. I don't know why I still feel that way. Probably because it's just the easiest solution. Yeah. Despite the lawsuit, who knows what's going to happen with that, right? When you get legal teams involved, it's not always about taking it to trial. It might be Oakland wants to get some money back, and maybe there's a way to hammer that out. If not, I think to your point, and we talk about it on our show, on Sundays, is San Antonio makes a good amount of sense. But does Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, do the Texans want them there? I don't know. So there's a lot of obstacles. but we should know right after the Super Bowl. I mean, Mark Davis, the owner,
Yeah.
I was out a couple weeks ago at the stadium site for a lunch, and he talked about it briefly. He wouldn't answer on camera or on audio, but it made it sound like they were focused and they had a plan. So my guess is we'll know pretty quickly. But also, a little bit of breaking news from the Raiders today, just a few hours ago. Tom Flory's named top 15 finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is so overdue, but that's good news, and we'll know that right before the Super Bowl as well, too.
Yeah.
But this team, we talk about all the time, John and Matt, this is like no other situation in the history of pro sports, where you have a team, in essence, for those of you that are Catholics out there, you'll understand it, in purgatory.
Yeah.
Right?
They really
Which is
are.
this idea that they just don't know where they're going. They know where they're going in 2020 and all of that, but it's a really unusual situation. And they can say what they want, but I think that weighed on them too this season. You just don't know what's happening.
It had to. And you look at other teams that have gone through this, and go back to the Tennessee Titans when they left Houston, the Oilers. They moved to Tennessee. They didn't go to Nashville right away, but they went to Tennessee, found a place. Would they play? Vanderbilt Stadium, I think.
Yeah,
maybe?
in Memphis.
Yeah, they played in Memphis, and then eventually got their stadium built in Nashville. The Ravens, when they were the Browns, they just upped and left and went to Baltimore. That was a wrap. They were gone. See you later. No hanging around in Cleveland. The Colts, when they went from Baltimore to Indy, that was an overnight deal. They were gone.
Right.
They showed up the next morning in Indy. That was it. The Chargers, the Rams, they both bolted from their cities, and they're playing somewhere else in the interim. We've never seen a team go, hey, we're leaving. You mind if we stay for a little bit, though?
Yeah,
We got to hang out for a couple of years until our house is ready.
On the radio show, I made the equivalence of, okay, you break up with your wife or your girlfriend, and you say, hey, I'm leaving you, but I'm going to sleep on the couch for the next year, right?
Yeah.
So it's just an unusual situation. The good news is the light is at the end of the tunnel. You have one season left, right, before they get here to their brand spanking new stadium. Las Vegas is getting more and more excited about it, and so we'll see what happens. I still think, though, they will play a little more on the road. Even if they play in Oakland, I think they're obviously playing in London. They might play another game or two somewhere else.
Yeah.
I hope they can do a preseason game here. I know Sam Boyd can't do a regular season game, but if they can get a preseason game here to get the excitement generated and to sell more season tickets, although they haven't had problems selling any, I think that would be a good move for them.
Okay, where do we want to steer this next? We can go draft, we can go Mayock, or we can go groundbreaking for team headquarters. What do you
Let's
want to
stick
hit?
with groundbreaking since we're talking about the stadium and the.
So, practice facility headquarters, January 14th. I think it starts at, what time? 10:30? 10:30. No.
Say 11 o'clock.
Okay. That's out towards the M.
Open
They're
to the
gonna-
public? No?
Not that
I
I
don't
saw.
believe so.
No.
Not that I saw. A lot of shuttles going from the M to shuttle the media out to the site.
Great.
But hey,
Wear
big,
boots.
and they're moving on, right? Their focus is Vegas. So
it has
as
to
much
be.
turmoil is going on with where they're going to play next season. Again, you see their eyes are on Las Vegas, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, the groundbreaking is going to be great, right? Because if anybody in town, if you're out of town, you won't get this as much, but in town, if you drive down the St. Rose corridor right now in Henderson, West Henderson is where it's at, the area of town, is developing quickly.
That is not Hendertucky.
That is not Henderson.
There's construction everywhere,
Everywhere.
over there right now.
Everywhere. They
Up
opened
and down St. Rose.
Yes, it's all retail, commercial properties, apartments, homes. Everything is going in there, and so you're going to be able to now have that facility there. We'll see how long it's going to take them to construct it. My guess is middle of next year they'll start really jamming on it, and they'll be in there by the end of the year because they have to then start preparing for the 2020 draft, which of course is in Las Vegas. But at the same time, having that facility ready to go, having everything starting to really come up from the ground. We've seen the stadium go crazy. Now to have that there, I think is going to make it even more real for Las Vegans and Hendersonites, I think it is, Hendertuckians, to feel really comfortable and excited that this team is actually coming here and it's happening.
Really quick, Matt, before you chime in, Ed with a great comment. You probably see it right there.
I just read it.
It's like sleep on the couch and Skyping with your new girl.
Ed's in Alaska. He's one of our listeners in
gotcha.
Alaska. He's great. So
Thanks for tuning in, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what you're looking at here. It's an awkward situation. But that practice facility, I don't know if you've seen the renderings of it now and the layout. They're going to have 3 full-size practice fields outside. They're going to have a field and a half that's going to be inside. Full training facilities, offices, headquarters, the whole bit. This is state of the art, and the way they modeled it is to look like the stadium.
But you pointed out today one thing that's missing.
Yes, I did.
Tell them.
Covered parking, and that did not come from me.
We got to tell.
I told you my buddy's in town from the Raiders.
Yeah.
Did
you tell him that?
No, he called me
Okay.
like 2 weeks ago, and that's what he said. He goes, "Man, I'm looking at the blueprints and everything. There's nowhere to park. It's going to be hot.
These players,
parking lot, but it's going to be
and those coaches.
It's not a Bay Area
and
summer.
And the new GM and the head coach, I'm sure, is going to be like, what the bleep?
Yeah.
Well, that's why when we're out at the groundbreaking on the 14th, we got to ask that question, right? Because it seems crazy, but for those of you who don't live in Las Vegas, but man, let me tell you something.
Man. I saw trees.
It's hot in the shade, but it's crazy in the sun.
Yeah.
So, but what a great facility, and even their current facility up in Alameda. Not that it's a slum or anything like that, but this facility is going to be state of the art. It's really going to be amazing. When you roll a free agent into there and show them what you have here, along with the stadium and of course Las Vegas,
it's a wrap,
it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, Southern Highlands right there, clearly. Southern Highlands
Highlands,
Golf Club.
Inspirada, Anthem, Seven Hills.
Great spot. Forget those west.
Yeah.
Listen, you know,
Get out of here, Summerlin.
I didn't grow up on the west side, so I'm not part
Get out
of
of
the
here,
west
Summerlin.
side. But you have your, city. You've got your City National Arena. You've got your Marc-Andre Fleury home, although that is in Southern
And the
Highlands.
ballpark.
And the ballpark. So let Henderson have something and just be okay with it. Let's touch on the draft. Your website, Scott, the way too early mock draft preview, and first 3 picks with your new writer, all defense, right?
Correct.
So 3 picks in the first round confirmed now, 4, 24, and 28. Just talk about what you see from that article and obviously what you see from the
Yeah, our writer Kelly Kreiner wrote, and he had Quinnen Williams from Alabama going first to the Raiders at 4. If he's there, he could actually go earlier than that. He's a great inside defensive player. A lot of Raiders fans are saying, no, we need edge rusher. Of course, created by the trade of
Khalil Mack.
Okay, and so people want that edge rusher, but what they forget is you need depth in the NFL. You need depth on the offense and defensive line, and so Kelly had him in as their first pick. So I think, and Matt and I talked about it on the air on CBS Sports Radio. We talked about the fact that I would go all defense in the first round.
You have to. I think you have to.
Because there's good wide receivers in this draft, for example, because they do need that as well, and they need other things, another tight end. But you can get them later in the draft. You have to go with what you can get, the best player available, plus
52
by
needs,
needs.
according to you, or 51? What was it, 53?
Somewhere in there. But here's the thing.
Entire
On
roster,
defense, I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
But on defense, that's where the majority of the holes come from, in my opinion. You need to shore up quite a bit more on defense than you do on offense. They do need a top-flight receiver. You can go out and find another receiver in free agency. You can draft one in a deep receiver class a little later if you need to. Yeah. But rookie wide receivers generally aren't that productive anyway. So I think they need to find something else out there. Let's see what we have with Chris Warren III at running back. He looked like a world beater in the preseason.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Could
running
be a preseason
Le'Veon Bell,
warrior. We don't know, but
any
perhaps.
Chance of that? Any chance
yeah,
of
of course there's a chance. Will they go after him? I don't know yet. But Le'Veon Bell would be a great fit in my opinion. But those are really your biggest needs, that and right tackle.
Correct.
You have to solidify the right side of that line. The interior of the line is great with Jackson and Hudson and Osemele. Colton Miller's going to get better. He's going to come into next season healthy,
right,
which will be nice. And you have to commit to this kid. I mean, if you're going to start him as a rookie at left tackle, you have to go with him for at least a couple of years. But he's shown when he's healthy, not only that, but healthy and when Osemele is next to him, because Osemele is a beast. When that side of the line is healthy, that is a good side of the line. They're going to be fine there. You have to find somebody on the right side. Outside of that, they're set at quarterback, they're set at fullback, they're set at tight end. They have depth at the receiver position. They just need a top flight number one.
Well, you mentioned fullback. I'm just laughing.
Come on, Keith Smith's a legit blocker if they'll let him block.
If they'll let him block. They don't run many of those sets, right? But, yeah, I think one of the things, too, and you're talking about it, Matt, is on the line. Remember, we don't know exactly how functional he'll be, but Donald Penn's there. I think Donald Penn comes back.
I'm curious to see if he comes back.
And I think this year works out differently. I'm not saying the Raiders are a playoff team by any stretch this year at all. But if Donald Penn's there at right tackle when Brandon Parker struggles, does Brandon Parker even see the field, or is he doing relief work here and there? And, oh, by the way, when Colton Miller was hurt and played hurt, he could have gone over to the left side again because that's Donald Penn's natural position. Yeah. So to me, that offensive line had a lot of responsibility for what happened this year. There's a lot of people at Raider Nation, people I respect, people I like, who listen to our show, watch your show, who still want to trade Derek Carr. Mistake. I don't
understand that philosophy.
I don't either, because it's one of those things where the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you talk about a quarterback. I'm not saying that at this point Derek Carr's a top 5 quarterback. It's not what I'm saying. He's not Aaron Rodgers.
He's
not
top
Drew Brees.
15 easily.
Yes.
And he's going to set the record for, I mean, he's close to it, right? With
Passing
passes without an interception.
No, he had an interception the other day because Jared Cook fell asleep in the middle of a route.
I missed that part.
333
I don't know.
Sorry, I fell asleep during the Raiders season.
Not sure what happened on that play, but
I'm back on the
You're probably better off
for the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're probably
okay?
better off.
I'm back on the Bears.
But
you
that's
know what? That's all right. I'll pull out the Mac jersey if the Bears make it all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. There you go. You got a
support
connection.
the Bears.
I like that.
But
Good.
that's the thing
Super
too.
Bears,
If
Super Bowl.
if you look at the quarterback class coming out this year, a lot of Raider fans like Drew Lock at Missouri. I'm not convinced on him. Next year has a much deeper quarterback class, and if you look at the structure of Derek Carr's contract, he's still cheap. Okay, relatively speaking, and they really don't have to commit big dollars to him until after the 2019 season. So give him the first time in his career 2 years in the same system.
Second time. This will be the
second time. Yeah, after
first
Del
time,
Rio.
all he did was be an MVP candidate, take them to a 12-4. Well, it was 11-4 or 12-3 until he got injured.
So he got injured, right?
12-4 season, MVP candidate.
Yeah.
And he couldn't be stopped.
Yeah.
His only time in his career, he spent a second season in the same system.
And I just think you have to, when it comes to the draft, guys, and we're going to be talking about this on the show on Sunday with Kelly, you have to go with what your most glaring needs are. Was the Raiders' offense next to last in offense in the league? No, they were not. They were middle of the pack, okay? Especially the last, remember, the last, and they got better. The last 7 games, they were 3-4. Going into the last game in Kansas City, which was a bloodbath, they were 3-3. So they played better at the end of the season. So I think the offense is less of a priority than the defense, to your point. So go with this. It's a very deep defensive class in the first round. So do that. Take care of those. There's other points of view out there, and maybe Mayock and Gruden will surprise us, but I just think they go defense.
They do need an edge rusher. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Arden Key needs to get better. Arden Key has the skills. We talked about it on Sunday. He needs to get stronger. He's got a big frame. He needs to fill that frame out, but he's there. He's getting there. He's just not finishing the play. But they do need another edge rusher to complement him. They could use more depth at the interior line position, but they have good depth there, and they have guys coming back. Justin Ellis was just coming back towards the end of the year. You still got Eddie Vanderdoes. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. You saw what P.J. Hall and Mo Hurst did as rookies. Yeah. Mo Hurst had 4 sacks. Khalil Mack had 4 sacks his rookie season. Mo Hurst is not Khalil Mack. Let's not get crazy, but he's going to get better. He's going to improve upon those 4 upon those 4 sacks.
But here's my argument against the Raider fans being so focused that an edge rusher has to be first. Now, if it's the best player in the draft and he's there, like a Josh Allen, somebody like, okay, go grab him. I have no problem with that. But when you have somebody like Khalil Mack, a generational talent, okay, he creates on his own. He doesn't need any help. He just does it, right? But if you have an interior line that you beef up even more, okay, if you add Quentin Williams to that line, you're creating such a push in the middle. Your outside edge rushers don't have to be Khalil Mack. They have to be good players, okay? But you're going to create a lot more of a push. And if you have more guys there, you can rotate P.J. Hall. He doesn't have to play every down. You have Williams, you have Vanders, you have all these guys who rotate. You keep fresh. I like that argument, and I agree with Kelly on that. I don't agree with him on all his picks, but I do agree with that on the first pick.
Well, I'll let you two continue that conversation Sunday morning, 8 a.m., CBS Sports Radio, 11:40 a.m. I want to end at least our Raiders talk about Mike Mayock, and I'll let you guys turn you guys loose after I give my 2 cents here. I love the hire, but only for my own personal arbitrary reasons, okay? One, he's a TV guy.
I knew that was coming.
TV guy. But, you know, in this era of fake news, right?
Do you have more Emmys than him, though? I think you do.
That's a good question. There's a couple in the background here, just in case you guys didn't know. They're not mine. So in this era of fake news and journalists coming under fire, Mayock, one of the best in the business, right? Gruden coming from a television background, I think this, you know, in one way gives credibility to journalists and TV people out there. So that's why I love the hire. Now, does it pan out? Have no idea, but I love it for that reason and that reason alone. Gruden, a former TV guy, coming back into coaching, hiring a TV guy to come in and analyze the draft form and hopefully help build a roster. And I like him coming out and just saying, hey, you know, because there's a lot of people out there that have probably gotten hosed on jobs because maybe they don't have the exact experience that's required of the job, but they're going to say, hey, I'm going to go in there and work harder than everybody else, but, oh, well, you know what, you didn't have experience in this specific program, so we're not hiring you for this job. Yet they looked over that and they said, we're going to hire you anyway, even if you don't know the day-to-day ins and outs of being a GM.
Well, here's the thing, John. everybody likes Meg Mayock. I haven't seen anybody who says they don't like him or the job that he's done. There are doubts amongst people because of the lack of experience in the front office. But I'll tell you what, this is a leadership move. And I wrote about this. I said, listen, this is disruption. When I tell you Uber, when I tell you Amazon, when I tell you Apple, what did they do? They all disrupted their industry because they took chances, they did things differently. I know that seems like a weird analogy, but it's very true here. You have a guy who evaluates talent for a living. He doesn't do it at a team, and John Gruden trusts him. It's not a traditional GM role there anymore. This is somebody who's reporting to John Gruden. John Gruden runs the franchise at this point, okay? So if that's the case, why not take a flyer? Why not go and take a risk? Because you know what? All the big risks, when Jeff Bezos started Amazon, people thought he was nuts. I'm going to go to the store. I'm not going to order crap online and just have it delivered to my house. Guess what happened, right? So disruption, them doing things differently, I agree with you in principle on the same reason, which is it's different. It takes time to work. I talked to Michael Lombardi, who we're going to have on the show Sunday as well, and he likes it too for that reason. Is he convinced it's going to work? Not yet. But at the same time, what do you have to lose? Try something different. The NFL is very incestuous. We see with all the coaching names, Hugh Jackson is again being considered for a job, right? That all happens. Now you have somebody there who's different, and the Raiders are making a bold move, and I like it too, absolutely.
Not only that, but we had a guy in there, in Reggie McKenzie, who was great with the numbers, right? Took this team from cap hell, straightened it out, got rid of all those horrible contracts, the dead money, stopped bringing in these high-priced, past their prime free agents and overpaying them,
right,
and really righted that ship. And now you look at where they're at. They're going to come into this season with 3 first-round draft picks and $85 million in cap space to play with.
Yeah.
That's a great place to be.
Well,
but his talent evaluation wasn't always where it needed to be. Now, nobody's 100% in the draft. We know that. Nobody hits a home run every single time. But most, if not the majority of his drafts were kind of on the okay scale. None of them were really good, with the exception of when he got Carr and Mack.
Yeah.
And Mack's gone. So
well, and remember, John, you mentioned fake news earlier. I'm going to use another term that's out there these days, and that is, you know who hates this and doesn't like John Gruden? Is the deep state in the NFL, right? Because it's different. It's different. He came in, he trades the best player in the NFL, or at least one of the best players in the NFL. He completely dismantles a roster that they say was 2 years ago won 12 games, right? Mm-hmm. So that has disrupted everything. And so for those people who are insular in that system, they feel like, well, this guy's nuts. He's going to fail. Well, guess what? That's what you want. You want people to be on their toes. And if I'm a player, I'm thinking, man, these guys are doing things differently, and so it's appealing to me. And then they're going to Las Vegas, where I only have to pay tax on half my games.
There you go.
All right, Scott, thanks for coming on. You guys can continue that convo Sunday, 8 to 10 a.m., CBS Sports Radio, 11:40 a.m. And shameless plug for us, our Saturday show. Shoot, I had our guests. Hold on, let me get them back. We've got guests. Saturday morning, 8 to 10, NFL Network's Brian Baldinger.
He's great.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Great. Can't wait to have him and Peter Guzman with the Las Vegas Stadium Committee. So we're going to go heavy on Raiders after the season as well. So, Scott, thanks for coming on. You can hang out or you can leave. I don't know.
Thanks for having me, guys. No, it's great.
We've got a couple more segments to talk about. One, the wild card segment. Okay, anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about, just comment now. Anything that we haven't touched on that is burning on your mind. And first, before we get to that, Ice Vegas Invitational, just wanted to mention that. That's happening 4th and the 5th here, so this coming weekend, UConn, Air Force, Western Michigan, St. Lawrence. And we were at a couple of those games last year, right?
Yeah, we saw ASU play last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was good. It was good. I mean, you ever want to go to T-Mobile and watch hockey and sit wherever you want to sit, this is the time to do it. We were on the glass, if you remember.
Yeah,
just hanging out.
ASU fans were great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
ASU fans were great. That was a lot of fun. So shameless plug for those folks. I think the wild card segment so far has been my mustache.
Man, the Ron Burgundy thing is uncanny. I mean, it's
John Merrill.
It's too bad you're not wearing the jacket today.
The Golden Knights are undefeated.
Can I jump in with one?
Yes.
I was thinking Oakley Dokley.
Oakley Dokley.
Ned Flanders.
Heidi ho, neighbor. He's left-handed. I'm left-handed.
All you need is the glasses,
Heidi ho,
man.
Heidi ho, neighbor. I don't think we had anything else. What will be the final straw before Menzies is fired? From Jake.
Man, I don't know. I don't think it matters what he does this season. I would assume that he's gone after this year is done because the arena is empty. And when it's all said and done, if it's not wins, it's the bottom line, and the bottom line is losing money every single game. So they need to figure something out.
Yeah, I'm going back to just Bobby Houck comes to mind, right? A guy that, good football guy, but he's not a guy that's like, hey, get your butts in the seats. And that reminds me of Marvin Menzies as well.
Well, Marvin Menzies took a seat for most of the game yesterday, if you noticed that. Not a lot of standing up and coaching. He was pretty disinterested, it seemed like, for most of the game.
Well, and that's what people forget, too, I think, guys, is, and I've been pretty negative about UNLV basketball, just for full disclosure.
Oh, yeah, well, if you've
full disclosure.
I've seen you on Twitter.
Yes, and but I'll tell you, that's Matt's point is dead on, which is you have to build excitement around the program. Of course, that comes with winning. I mean, winning cures all ills, right? But at the same time, you have to be really active in the community. You mentioned Bobby Hawk. You have to be out there, and I think they're at a point now too. And if you look at where the new AD's at, and she's made some good moves, like the logo you talked about at the top of the show, is that she handcuffed on the football situation, right? We all know what happened there, and that's fine. So Tony Sanchez has another year to prove himself. Great. But now she has one opportunity to make a splash, and that's to hire a basketball coach. So the politics internally there, too, I think matter. And so you got to get people excited about running Rebel basketball again. How are you going to do that? I think you have to create buzz around it, and you have to get the right personality in there.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Final thoughts. Scott, I'll give you a chance to chime in on a final thought.
Oh, wow.
Final thought.
I'm honored.
If you have a rant.
No.
What's your rant? I mean, I know you have a lot of rants.
No, you guys talked about it at the start of the show, which is it's amazing the sports revolution that's happening in Las Vegas, right? With all that's going on with the Raiders, with the Golden Knights, with the baseball team, with the Aviators, despite their logo, going into the new ballpark. I actually like the logo. I know I'm one of the only ones, just because it's so weird. But to me, it's such a great time for the city. And the fact that you guys do your show the way you do it is huge, because you guys talk about it all. And that's why I never miss your show on Saturdays on CBS, because it's phenomenal. And you guys talk about it all. You talk about a lot of sports like UNLV hockey and other things that no one else in this market talks about. So I would invite people, if you're not a hockey person, fine. Check out baseball. Check out college baseball. But certainly a great time, and adrenaline's where you're going to hear about it. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks,
man. Thanks for coming. Not as in depth as that, but can we stop crying about this "You Suck" chant at the Golden Knights games? Stop crying. Stop crying about it. Social media. There's a site out there. I don't want to name the site. One of the Twitter handles. Let's just say it involves Golden Knights female fan base.
Okay.
That's kind of in the title, right? Crying about this Campbell, you suck. It's not about, Vegas fans need to be better than that. Be nice, be better than that. It's not about that, man. We were doing this in the 90s when the Las Vegas Thunder were here. We were screaming out the goalie's name 3 times and chanting, "You suck."
And UNLV basketball.
Yeah, they do it with the hey, you suck every single game. Get over it. It's fun. People are there to have a good time. Players know they're going to get razzed. It's part of the game. I just saw a thing where Sidney Crosby, I can't remember where they were playing, but there was a guy in the stands that was on Sidney Crosby for 2.5 hours, just laying into him the entire game. Crosby said, "Hey, next time take it easy on me," and signed a stick and handed it to the guy.
Well, and John, you sit in the bleachers at Wrigley Field, right? I sat in the bleachers at Wrigley Field, and it's bad. And you know what? But that's part of the environment. That's part of the fun when you have a visiting team come in. It gives you your home ice advantage. So why?
One day I'll have to tell you about the time I almost got thrown out of a basketball game by Dave Hall, our favorite Mountain West fan.
That guy.
When I was
a
student. I didn't use very good language. Hey, I'll keep it positive here for my final thought. Just want to wish you all a great 2019, right? And I guess I'll get philosophical for a little bit and tie it into sports, right? Just give everything that you can, maximum effort in anything that you do, right? That's always thought in my mind. It's something that I always try to do. Maximum effort. Even if it doesn't come out the way you want it to come out, or things don't go your way, as long as at the end of the day you give maximum effort at something, then you should be happy with yourself and bring it full circle. The story of Matt Nagy, I read about that, the Chicago Bears head coach. This guy loved football with all his heart. Couldn't get a gig in the NFL as a quarterback, broke all kinds of records at Delaware, played in the Arena League for 6 years, blew out his knee, that was that. He loved football, couldn't get a shot. He went and sold houses. That's what the guy did. He sold houses 10 years ago. He begged for this job, and somehow he found his way back into coaching, and his passion was there. He gave it everything that he had, and look what happened to him. He's now got the Bears 12-4, hopefully beating the Eagles this week. and moving on deeper into the playoffs. The Bears I have at 60-1, by the way. So hopefully you draw something positive out of that, guys.
You and your futures bets, man.
Yeah,
you love them.
I don't know.
You love them.
I pick and choose. I hit on the Broncos a few years ago. Broncos when Peyton Manning got hurt. They were like 15-1. Got that. All right.
Happy New Year,
Scott,
guys.
thanks for coming on. For Matt, I'm John. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you here next week on the Facebook show. Don't forget to tune in both Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. CBS Sports. In life, just like in football, you need good hands to score. The Michael Westra Allstate Agency will carry you to success for every insurance need. Auto, business, home, life. Michael will personally see you get the best rates, and our full-service staff at 702-435-4211 will walk you through any claim, not refer you to an 800 number. For over 15 years, Michael has served charities in Las Vegas. He's ready to serve you at 702-435-4211, 702-435-4211. Drink, dine, and play at the Pint during the pro football season. Join us all day Sunday plus Monday and Thursday nights as we serve up the best specials on the west side. $2 all-beef hot dogs, $3 beers from locally made Bad Beat Brewing, $15 buckets of Bud Light, and sound for every Raider game. Our carefully crafted menu and loose slots create a locals atmosphere you'll love, plus awesome parties during every Golden Knights game. The Pint, located at 9941 West Charleston near Wallapai. The Pint, your premier neighborhood bar.